My name is Matt Clayton, Project Supervisor for the Binchester excavations. This is our third season here. We've worked for 9 weeks each season. We are coming towards the end of our third season and we should be here for at least 2 more seasons to come and hopefully many more after that. This is Trench 1, which I've been essentially supervising the running of for that duration. What we have here is a trench that is located right in the corner of the fort. So the far side, where the wheelbarrows are placed, is the fort rampart underneath those barrows with a defensive ditch on the other side of it, and that goes along towards the hedgerow where the corner of the fort itself is, and we have another ditch running along roughly where the hedgerow is. So we've plunked our trench right in the very, very corner, which gives us a nice sensible place to start and put what we're excavating in some kind of context. What we'd expect to find in this area is the Roman barrack blocks. So we have the commander's house further up that's been previously excavated along with his bath suites. Down here, this is a more basic area, usually used for things like the accommodation block and also stables, things like that. And we think that's what we've uncovered. We have a building, you can see part of the outer wall sunk into a pit here. We have one very long building, very narrow building, about 6 meters wide, somewhere in the region of 20 odd meters long, although we haven't necessarily reached the full extent of it yet. And this fits nicely with the idea of a barrack block. It appears to be divided into separate rooms, and we are slowly working our way through it. Indeed, the group that's working here currently are working inside the building and are starting to excavate a series of pits which have been dug through both the internal floors of the building and immediately outside the building up against the outer walls. This suggests, rather obviously, that the building has gone out of use as accommodation by this point. We have had 2 seeds dated from different pits, and has come back as a late Roman date. So at the moment, the suggestion is that the fort is still here, it's still being occupied by the Romans, but they are no longer using this area as accommodation, and it is instead now being used for some other activity on a fairly industrial scale, an intensive scale. What that process is, what that activity is still up for debate, but at the moment our running theory is there is some form of animal processing going on here. We're assuming this is a consequence of a large number of animal bones, well, almost entirely cow, and mostly heads and feet, suggesting that the skins were still attached and that maybe they're using these pits as part of a tanning process for these hides. We have now uncovered somewhere in the region, well, I think we're just into double figures for these pits, varying in size and depth, and all different in their own way, but sharing characteristics. And they all seem to be constructed as part of one phase of occupation of the site. So we can relate them, even though they're in different parts of the area, parts of the fort. We can relate them as all being part of potentially the same process. Time will tell exactly what these pits are for, but as I say, at this stage, tanning is considered the most likely option. Okay.